Hi, I'm Vince Marsaglia of Pizza Port and Julian Beer Company and Lost Abbey. And this is the Brewer to Brewer podcast from All About Beer. My guest is Colby Chandler of All Things Agave. And he is here for a conversation that goes beyond the brew house and into the topics that matter to brewing professionals and curious beer drinkers. First, please visit allaboutbeer.com and follow on social media at All About Beer. And to support journalism in the beer space, check out allaboutbeer.com/support. We'll get into this conversation in just a moment, but first, this message.
I'm Bradley Zimmerman from Badger Hill Brewing in Shakopee, Minnesota. Malta Mexico 2-Row is the first of its kind, so I was excited to try it out and see how it performed in the brew house. We had just brewed Mucho Gusto, our Mexican lager, so we used Malta Mexico in our American light lager called Longhorn. Performed well in the brew house. There's a little bit of toasted, flaked rice and then some rice syrup solids in the kettle and a touch of dextrin in the beer as well, and that's it. So it's basically showcasing Malta Mexico 2-Row. We normally use a Pilsner malt in that beer, so we got similar notes to a Pilsner malt, but we got a little bit more cracker out of it. A little bit of not toast and not bread dough, kind of somewhere in between. It had a pleasant sweetness to it, but it wasn't cloying or anything like that. Performed well in the brew house. We hit all our numbers as far as efficiency goes, so we were happy with the results there. If you're doing Mexican-style lagers, Malta definitely helps tell the story, especially since it's grown and malted in Mexico. No one's ever done that to this date, so it's fun to get people excited about that process and where things are going. We definitely like to tell that story. Contact Malt Europe today and visit maltingco.com.
Next time you're going through your books, check and see how much you're paying for brewery software. Odds are you're paying way too much. Ollie is the fastest growing brewery software that is saving brewers time and money while delivering the tools they need to grow their business. Learn more at getollie.com/pod. That's getollie.com/pod.
Okay, let's get into it. A bit about my guest today. Colby grew up around beer in the Seattle area. During his time growing up there, he toured local breweries with his parents in the 70s and drank fresh IPAs in the 80s. Moving to San Diego in the mid-90s, he started home brewing while working in the restaurant business, leaving the food service business, which was a smart move, in 1997 to work at Homebrew Mart and Ballast Point for the next 25 years. During that time, he was president of the San Diego Brewers Guild for 5 years and helped start the Guild Fest and San Diego Beer Week, which was pretty incredible. He has led over 400 beer dinners, which I can't even believe that number is right. Like, is that right? That 400 beer dinners, that is insane. And participated in over 150 collaboration on 5 continents. Currently, he has signed on as an investor in San Diego Brewing Company, accepted a position on the White Labs Customer Advisory Board, and is also building a new company with 4 other partners called All Things Agave. It will become a boutique spirits importer, wholesaler, and distributor, building beverage brands based around the incredible agave plant, including mezcal-based cocktails in a can, and of course some agave beers. Welcome, Colby.
Thank you so much. That's it, right? That's the whole interview. We're done.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Okay. Have a nice day. No, it's just getting started, buddy. I don't know. There's so many questions that I have for you it's
If only there was a forum for that.
Yeah, only there was a forum for that. I mean, you've pretty much done everything. You've gone from beer drinker to home brewer to distiller to microbrewer to even you've had a little dabble in the big brewer situation. You've seen growth that you've been part of that. You've seen growth that I don't think not very many people have seen. But I guess first, I just wanted to talk about Homebrew Mart and how you got started there. And I used to love going there, so I just wanted you to kind of tell people what Homebrew Mart was like and how you got started there.
Well, kind of in the bio, kind of grew up around beer. My dad was in the Navy, so he was always kind of searching out different flavors, especially local. I've got pictures of me in Olympia and Rainier when I was 5 years old. And then, going to like Sapporo and Hokkaido, Japan, and lived in Hawaii for a while and drank a lot of European beers and started the hoppy beers up in Seattle and eventually landed in San Diego where I was staying with one of my dad's friends and he was home brewing. I was working at Ruth Chris Steakhouse. I had opened the restaurant down on Harbor Drive and was homebrewing a little bit and started to kind of have some success with it. I really like cooking, and there was a good crossover there. And basically, Ruth Chris went back to corporate Ruth Chris from independently owned and just really wasn't my style of serving. And I was told to get on the bus or get the F off the bus. So I got off the bus and got a job at Home Brew Mart. I only applied to two places in the beginning. One was Home Brew Mart and the other was Pizza Port, Solana Beach. So I had an interview with Tommy, and I didn't have enough experience, home brewing, professional brewing experience, I think. And Jack was a big fan of Ruth Chris and probably thought he could get a discount if he hired me. So I got hired at Home Brew Mart. I was working from 11 to 3 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then I was paying my bills with weekend shifts at Ruth Chris Steakhouse until Jack was so kind to offer me a full-time position as the Home Brew Mart general manager and also the first non-owner brewer at Ballast Point. So they needed to go on vacation and needed somebody to do the work while they were gone. And they conned me into getting the GM position too. And I ran that location for about 11 years. And I just kind of went from there.
How much do you think, like, I was used to get kind of jealous a little bit of Ballast Point and stuff in the way that, I mean, you guys had like all the ingredients. You guys were like the mad scientists. You could experiment with, I mean, has there been any beer style that you have not brewed? And I, I don't know if that's really, I guess that's part of the question, but like, how much do you think it influenced, all the different things at Ballast Point, with you guys, having the home brew mart?
I think it was everything, because it definitely wasn't about the money. It was all about love at that point. And it wasn't not necessarily, I mean, having all the ingredients and everything there was great, but also the homebrewers coming in were really what pushed us a lot. Them bringing in, styles that were good or different, or them kind of pushing the limits a little bit. But having that all there and available for us to play with in the back really was a big, big thing too. And it's just, it's all about, everybody always talks about the community that kind of builds up around beer. And that's exactly what happened at Homebrew Mart. I felt like for a long time, Homebrew Mart was kind of the hub of the brewing community in San Diego. A lot of people, a lot of brewers started at Homebrew Mart and then opened up breweries around the country. Whenever I'm traveling, I always run into somebody that said they bought their first kit at Homebrew Mart. So definitely a huge influence on the early days and just the creativity and kind of the whole, renaissance of that time in craft beer.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, you used to have homebrew days at the brewery too, when at the first brewery, right? I mean, they're like homebrewers would come and brew with you, and you would show them because that's like every home, like when I was homebrewing too. That's the ultimate dream, is to go brew on a bigger system and see what it's all about. You used to do a lot of that stuff too, didn't you?
Not so much on the big system. We all had our homebrew systems that we would kind of build up recipes on. Really, the first time, I mean, this kind of jumps ahead a little bit to like 2005. The first time we were losing a lot of employees and to other breweries and things. So I was trying to think of ways to kind of, give bonuses to guys. And one of them was brewing a beer. So we had a Grundy that was sitting on top of the cold room that we pulled down, and we decided to do a employee kind of collaboration. Uh, Two of the employees, Doug Duffield and George Catalan, were big homebrewers and award-winning medalists in the AHA competitions, and they won national awards with their IPAs. So I kind of combined their recipes and threw in a little bit of my magic, and we got on the Big Brew House, which was the first time we kind of had done an employee collaboration, and we brewed Sculpin.
Oh,
So
nice.
that's how that came about. But yeah, the collaborations weren't there weren't a lot of them back then. I feel like people really didn't understand the benefit. And back in 97 when I started, there was still competition, I feel like, in San Diego. Stone and Carl Strauss. You guys were just smoking weed down in Solana Beach. So you guys never really competed with anybody. You just did your own thing. But some of the bigger boys in town were still they were still trying to figure out the whole compatriot, not competitor thing. So I would imagine that's why there wasn't too many collaborations going on. But being at Home Brew Mart, I was always sharing things. So, going down and sharing stuff with Paul and Segura and um, uh, those guys down at Hang Ten, Chuck Silva, and
Yeah.
just sharing beers all around. Carl Strauss, I ended up getting married to Carl Strauss in Sorrento Valley. And then also, even when the guild started up or restarted up, it kind of went away for a little bit because of the competition. When it started back up again, I kind of got everybody back going after the the CBC, the Craft Brewers Conference, was here in San Diego for the first time, and we kind of revamped the guild. Joe Kuzo had kind of was the self-proclaimed president, and then he ended up going to Vegas, and I took it over after that. And actually, Gina, your sister, was the one that talked me into it. She's like, "Yeah, why don't you do it? You should do it." Because, I kind of got to know a lot of brewers in town, but I didn't know everybody, and I felt like that was kind of a problem. So getting together and getting the whole guild going, and I think then that started the whole collaborative effort in the area and the promotion of San Diego beer as a whole and the quality that was here, that not really a lot of people knew about, that we all knew because we were beer drinkers.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. The guild has been, I mean, what it was your idea for, I didn't even know it was your idea for San Diego Beer Week. Was that, how did that come about? Like,
Well, Philly was already doing it. San Francisco was doing it. We were going there selling beer, and then came back, and people were starting to kind of like Greg from Stone wanted to do like a North County Beer Week. North Park, like Blind Lady, they wanted to kind of, do their own North Park Beer Week. Chris Kramer at Carl Strauss kind of wanted to do a San Diego Beer Week, San Diego proper. And I was just kind of like, we're all wanting to do the same thing. So we kind of met in North Park, all of us, and kind of decided we had already had the Guild Fest in November, which was the lowest hotel room rates for the city. So that's how we kind of got some city funding to promote it in the beginning. And then San Diego Beer Week, it just kind of ended up falling with, the capstones being the San Diego Brewers Guild Festival, and then, a food and beer pairing event at the end of the week. So that's kind of how that all started. I literally wrangled the cats together to kind of all get us going in the same direction.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Is that number really right? The 400 uh, beer dinner?
I mean, it's close. I mean, I was doing at least one a month for just years and years, if not doubling up sometimes, two or three a month. So being there for 25 years, that starts to add up.
Yeah, I mean, that is, I think that's the Guinness Book of World Records for beer dinners. That maybe Garrett Oliver, maybe, I don't know. He might have.
Yeah. Because I mean, we had multiple locations there for a while, so we were doing different spots. And I came from the restaurant business, so I was always into food and wine pairing. So I kind of jumped on that pretty quick. When I got into Ballast Point, we started having those kind of events that really started pushing things along. And I just kind of evolve from there. And you got to eat, so why
Yeah.
not? Why not pair the best drink with what you're eating? This was my theory behind that. Plus, I wasn't making any money, so it was a free dinner for me. Yeah, let's do more beer dinners. I'm hungry.
What do you have some favorite ones that you do or
Oh man, there's so many. I mean, there's just so many. I I did one at Torrey Pines, the golf course one time where we did all pepper beers where I added peppers and chilies to our existing beers, and we kind of used that as a condiment for the dish. So like what do we do? We did a poached trout with like a creamy cucumber sauce, and then we did a roasted serrano yellowtail kolsch with it, which was awesome. So those kinds of things are fun. I just like giving adults new flavors. So any dinner that I can kind of like change people's minds a little bit or just have them realize that food's just more than something that fills you up. It's actual
yeah,
experience and they've missed out on it their whole life. It's fun to see
yeah.
epiphanies.
Yeah, the beer dinners are always they're the ones that I've been to are awesome. Uh I don't know what I guess I want to talk about the some of the collaborations you've done on five continents as well. Like uh how do those come about? Is it just making friends with brewers or how does that come about?
A little bit of both, actually. Running into people at the different events that we're at. But at one time, I mean, we were in 49 with Ballast Point, we were in 49 states and I want to say 18 countries. So that's where it kind of came about as far as the international travel. So I got to brew in Japan with Koedo, did their first ever IPA. I got to brew with Pirate Life down in Adelaide. We were brewing even keel for the cask events that they have. I forget the pub, where they do all the casks in England. But we were doing even keel, which is kind of was our hoppy session ale. And at the same time, we were brewing Bass Ale and Hobgoblin. So that was pretty epic for me.
Yeah.
And Chile, went down to Chile to Tubinger and brewed down there as well. So still trying to get to Antarctica and Africa if anybody's out there and wants to brew.
Oh man, were you talking about the White Horse in it's not London, but it's the for the
Marston,
cat. Oh,
Whitehorse, yeah, for the cast festivals that they do every year. I think that's what it was. Yeah,
yeah.
get like 400 casks of a 4% hoppy even keel. It just completely confused him.
Yeah. I mean, was it the first time that you had like the cask ales? Did it kind of blow you away? Like all the differences in those? I know it's a pretty interesting. It's a very unique beer experience, I think. Did you find it that way?
Well, Peter Ahern was kind of the first brewer at Ballast Point, and he was kind of classically trained in Europe. So we were on the cast train really early at Homebrew Mart. So I definitely, that's where I kind of learned my appreciation for it. But yeah, going to the homeland and having the cask made there and the way that the publicans treat the cask and you know what I mean? It's an experience and it's not warm and it's not flat, it's actually a good drinkable sessionable beers they're made for doing what we're doing right now, sitting around and talking.
I know. Why? I wonder why there isn't more of that. They kind of seems like the cask is kind of it's kind of gone away for a while. Everybody was doing it, and then it kind of went away. I don't know why it went away. I don't know.
I always thought it was a great experimental container as far as like a lot of our flavored beers and things came from the cask. We put grapefruit zest in the cask of Sculpin first, before we even thought about doing anything else, just to start to get the flavor of it and, special events during beer weeks and things around the country. So I'm surprised more people don't use it just for that.
Yeah, because it is kind of like a single vessel. Like, I mean, you can take the same beer and you could do a million different things with it in each cask. It's so you are a mad scientist.
Sure. Alchemist.
Oh, alchemist. There you
Yeah.
go. That
Colby won.
is. I guess I kind of want to I kind of want to know what it was like, just what it was like at Ballast too, like just during the explosive growth phase. Because I mean, in a short amount of time, you guys, you went from being really small to huge, like you said, all the different states and just pretty much everywhere. But was it just like, was it crazy, from a brewing standpoint too, just to keep up with what was going on?
Well, I was employee number 9, and we got to like 900 employees at one point. So it wasn't so much like one explosive stages. It was like 6, 3 to 4 year stages, each one kind of blowing into the next stage and next stage and next stage. So it wasn't as surprising, as everybody thought, because we had a really good team and everybody was working extremely hard. But there were some steps were a little bit bigger than others for sure. I mean, it kind of went from running a pirate ship to, a corporation. So for me, I enjoyed the whole process of, seeing it go from us just making things that we like to drink to actually, selling all over the world. That was pretty amazing to see a product that, I kind of helped scribble down on a recipe sheet, and I'm drinking it on another continent. So that was definitely awesome.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything quite like that. Like starting, it's like the things where people start in their kitchen at home, like Laura Bar or something like that, where they start there and it turns into this giant thing. It's pretty amazing, but it's the people that are good at it, like you guys in Ballast Point, are the ones that kind of think out of the box, and you adjust to the growth, and you figure out a way to make it all happen without ruining the beer, or ruining the product. And that's what kind of amazes me. Like, I mean, were you involved very much with the equipment and deciding on the brewing equipment, or what we were going to need to get to to be able to produce this amount that we have to kind of guess at how much it's going to be?
Not on a large scale. That seemed like work to me.
Yeah.
I kind of tried to avoid it. I tried to stay on the art side of it, and with recipe formulations and smaller things. I did get to build the Little Italy brew pub in the brewery there that is still just rocking down there, and everything's just working as good as it was on day one. So definitely proud of that. And we were doing 100 unique recipes a year out of that brewery, which was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like all the building and stuff, that was Yusuf. Yusuf Chernay was the juggernaut behind all the massive growth. I eventually kind of switched from the art side of it. Once Little Italy was built and kind of running, I kind of moved a little bit more into marketing. So that's where I was able to tell the stories, because I was in the room most of the time when the stories were happening, and tell them to people, all over the world. So that was a value for me, and I really moved into collaborations. I was doing, collaborations at least once a month, all over the place. So yeah, that's it. I still like the hands-on part of brewing. After I left Ballast 4 years ago, three and a half years ago, 4. Yeah, it's been a while. Kind of built a one barrel brew house in my garage here at the house, and started kind of brewing again, playing with all the new ingredients that are out there. Did a little bit of, I don't know if I call it consulting, more so as recipe development for some companies. Basically, companies that were doing non-alcoholic cocktails in cans and non-alcoholic THC beers. I was, kind of helping them make it here, just as samples and things, and then other beers with terpenes across the country, and that's what kind of led me into agave beers. So it's been good to get back into the ingredient side of it, and also building the brewery was kind of fun too, since I really hadn't done a lot of that.
Oh yeah. Yep, I can imagine. That I think maybe we should take a short break at this point.
Sounds good. I'm thirsty. I need a beer.
Okay.
Next time you're going through your books, check and see how much you're paying for brewery software. Odds are you're paying way too much. Ollie is the fastest growing brewery software that is saving brewers time and money while delivering the tools they need to grow their business. Learn more at getollie.com/pod. That's getollie.com/pod.
I'm Bradley Zimmerman from Badger Hill Brewing in Shakopee, Minnesota. Malta Mexico 2 is the first of its kind, so I was excited to try it out and see how it performed in the brew house. We had just brewed Mucho Gusto, our Mexican lager, so we used Malta Mexico in our American light lager called Longhorn. Performed well in the brew house. There's a little bit of toasted, flaked rice and then some rice syrup solids in the kettle and a touch of dextrin in the beer as well, and that's it. So it's basically showcasing Malta Mexico 2. We normally use a Pilsner malt in that beer, so we got similar notes to a Pilsner malt, but we got a little bit more cracker out of it. A little bit of not toast and not bread dough, kind of somewhere in between. It had a pleasant sweetness to it, but it wasn't cloying or anything like that. Performed well in the brew house. We hit all our numbers as far as efficiency goes, so we were happy with the results there. If you're doing Mexican style lagers, Malta definitely helps tell the story, especially since it's grown and malted in Mexico. No one's ever done that to this date, so it's fun to get people excited about that process and where things are going. We definitely like to tell that story. Contact Malt Europe today and visit maltingco.com.
I guess we could maybe talk a little bit about like the like after the purchase of ballast. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. I mean,
Okay. I just kind of wondered what it was about, like when after the purchase of ballast, what's it like transitioning into a bigger company? I guess you had kind of a taste of that with Ruth's Chris, but was it a similar situation, or was it what was the transition like?
it was that we were already actually running as a pretty good corporation already. I think that's why we were, keeping some consistency with the product and growing as fast as we were, while we were even considered to be bought. So it was fairly smooth transition into Constellation. But it's the goals, I think, were just a little bit different than what we had been doing, going from 18 SKUs to like 3 to 4 SKUs. And it was just different, more so than anything. It was fun to be in the portfolio. I mean, I drank a lot of Mondavi wines, and at least once a year I'd have a Corona when it got 90 degrees in San Diego. I'd ice it down, sit in the back, and have a cold glass of beer flavored water. It's quenching. Um, but it was it. I like. It's hard to get the balance of art and business. I feel like is everybody's challenge, and the fact that it's when you start building beers off of spreadsheets, it gets a little difficult, I think, for everybody. I feel it loses a little bit, and I think that's kind of what happened a little bit there. The running of the business, the corporate side of it, all of that is kind of easy, and most people like to be told what to do, and they like it when everybody has a consequence, because then they feel like they're part of the team more. And we were building a good team, and it was different. That's all I can say. I mean, there's just it was again incredible to go from, being the ninth employee and to see all the different growth spurts of Ballast Point through the whole thing. I'm glad I did it. I learned an incredible amount from all the different stages, including Constellation and Kings and Convicts. And I'm hoping I picked out the right things to kind of lead this new company that I'm in, all things agave.
Yeah, let's tell us about all things agave.
Started the kind of idea started a while ago. One of our founders, Felipe Sotomares, has been in the agave business, tequila, mezcal for the past 30 years, consulting, building his own brands, things like that. And he always kind of wanted to do a mezcal brand. And he always thought that quenching agave beer after harvesting the agave would be an awesome idea. So he kind of started building a team. We brought in, or he brought in a businessman that um, still thinks alcohol is sexy and beer is sexy. So that's good. I got to relearn that a little bit. And then another just fire pistol woman that loves to make agave cocktails, and she had her own RTD tequila products. So we kind of reformulated hers into mezcal cocktails. Mezcals, and like I said, I got involved. They came to me. I'd been friends with Felipe for a long time, and him and Jay, retired colonel, kind of running our operations, came to me and said, "Hey, we have this agave recipe. We'd like to do some samples. Try to dial in the recipe. Is that something you can do?" And I'm like, "Sure." So after dialing that all in and talking to him, I got invited to be one of the founders in the company about 15 months ago. So we've been working towards getting products made down in Oaxaca and getting them imported up. We worked through all our licensing now, finally, got all that in check with the ABC. We're working with all the companies and the people that track mezcals, AMA down in Mexico. We're getting through all of that. So we're getting very close to having some product. I'm actually, as soon as we're done here today, I'm headed down to Fall Brewing to brew our first agave cream ale called Zapo, Zapo, not the frog. It's after the Zapotec Indians down in Oaxaca. We're trying to keep things really authentic and high quality and make products that we like. Imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's kind of another one of those endless endeavors where you can do a lot of different things. Seems like there's a lot of versatility there.
Yes.
Um,
And it's really a, you know, an ancient plant that has, just incredible amount of resistance, and there's so many different varietals of agave that most people don't know about. I really see it the way I see it as a consumer, because I've been, kind of diving into it the past 6, 7 years, pretty heavy. I always remember my parents drinking, like Portuguese red wine, and or maybe a box wine or something like that. It was red or white. There wasn't a bottle of Cabernet at our house ever. But then, as wine grew, you start to get educated about all the different grape varietals and the different regions that they're grown in. And it becomes a story. It becomes more than just red or white. And I feel like hops kind of did that for beer a lot in IPAs. Nobody really knew about hops before IPAs. And then IPAs started really pushing the different varietals of hops. And, now when you go have an IPA, the hop varietals are listed, on the tasting sheets usually. So I feel like agaves are kind of the same thing. Everybody knows tequila. Not many people know that it's only made out of one agave, blue Weber agave. Whereas mezcal is made from 38 other types of agave if need be. There's so much different flavors, mezcals can be baked, mezcals can be smoked in pits. It's all different. It's different regions, different terroirs. So I feel like I'm excited about the runway and the different flavors and expressions that will come out of all these new things. And I'm kind of stoked to be educating people on it. So, and it's a lot of the same feelings I had with beer in the beginning.
yeah, I can totally see that. I mean, what with the mezcals with the different agaves, like, I mean, it, it's an endless variety, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of a wild there. I mean, aren't there people that go out and just like they have like their own little place where they get the mezcal or where they get the agave to make their different mezcals? Like I went down to Colima and there I can't remember the name of the town. It's Kamal or something, and they have a lot of different mezcals. And somebody was explaining to me, there's like this guy goes to this one place that it's like a secret fishing hole
Right.
for agave for the agave, and he gets it and makes it this one special type. And I couldn't believe how many different flavors there were, and I had just scratched the surface. I guess you've probably have had a way more experience with that. Like
Well,
just
I feel like I have more experience, but I'm still scratching the surface. There's, you know, over 100 different varieties of agave at maguey, but only like 30, it's somewhere in like the 36 to 42 range if you count hybrids that actually have enough sugar in them to ferment, to actually extract, to bake, to press, to get the juice and the sugar out of it. And out of those, 38 to 40, I think only a handful can actually be cultivated, actually grown in rows or, budded off and replanted and grown up, but so that even starts to limit it even more. So that's where it comes into what you were talking about, the wild agaves that, kind of have to be managed so that they don't, go extinct. But that same breath, it's all the different flavors in each variety, and then how they're prepared, how they're distilled, type of still, single distillation, double distillation. All of that is just a wealth of knowledge that needs to be accessed, I feel like. And it's such an awesome place down there. So
yeah, yeah. I know what it does. It reminds me of all the hops too. Like you go up to Yakima or whatever, and you look at you go to the experimental uh,
hop
hop
fields.
fields, and you're just like, you can walk pretty much all day in some of them, and you start talking to the growers and for all the different cultivation reasons and what their end goal with that hop. Out of all these plants, they'll be like, oh yeah, that maybe that one, we still have to wait a couple years. Maybe that one's going to be a hop, maybe that one's going to be a hop, but then all the rest, they're not going to be hops. I mean, not ones that we use for brewing, but it sounds real similar to what you're talking about with the agave. Like
Here's the other twist. Unlike grapes and hops are perennials, agave takes anywhere from 4 to 30 years to grow. So just the investment in that alone makes it special. So when you're actually, tasting them as calls and the tequilas, and especially the high ends and different varietals, just imagine what it's taken to get to your glass.
yeah, I mean, it sounds like generational.
Yeah, a lot of them are generational down there if they're lucky. If they can pass it down. And that happens a lot. I was just in Guadalajara and you could feel the generations, and everything, and talking to people. And this is we'd be out and about, and we'd run into a cousin for sure, no matter where we were. And that cousin had a palenque or a distillery somewhere that they were doing stuff. So yeah, it's still very connected, I think, to people and the land, and you know what I mean, because of the somewhat scarcity and where it's grown. It's still kind of rare in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Do you ever have a dream that you wake up, you walk through this valley, and there's the perfect golden agave plant that is like the one that
And you're like,
uh,
oh, I'm gonna kill that, cut it down, and
I don't know,
drink it.
I've never seen like how like the real production, but I mean like when they're roasting them and everything, but I mean that sounds like it's really good with, it's kind of the cooking aspect of it too, or the brewing, and it's all kind of intertwined, but Like, is that a pretty amazing thing to watch, the harvest to the roasting?
It's such a hard process. Ideally in April, the if the agave is mature enough, it'll shoot out a flower out the top called the quiote. And you cut that quiote off instead of all the energy going to the flower, it plumps up the pina, the inside of the agave, and then you go cut it down, cut off all the leaves, and then you roast it, and then you smash it, get all the juice out of it, then you open ferment it, and then distill it. So that's the short, abbreviated version. I got to do that here in San Diego. We built a pit up in Ramona. We harvested a big American blue agave in Oceanside. It was huge, like 200-pound pina, which is the kind of the heart of the agave. Had to cut it in fours just to get it in the car and get it up to Ramona. Did a whole oak wood pit with it. Um, Dug it in for 4 days and just completely burn it. Completely just dissolved it. Just cooked it so hardcore. And I was just so bummed about the whole thing. But I mean, there was the process and everything was super fun. And then recently, when I was down in Guadalajara, I was talking to these two cousins of Joaquin at Fortuna, and they were talking about their first pit bakes, and they were like, "Yep, we burnt the first one to a crisp, and then the second one we burn it halfway, and then the third one we just kind of burn it, and then the fourth one was way better, and the fifth one was perfect." I'm like, "Okay, that makes me feel better." Now I'm not. Now I don't feel so bad that I just burnt the crisp out of the one we did here in San Diego. What was fun
Sounds
was seeing, them. We were driving by one of the ovens and there was a big construction vehicle that were dumping piñas into the oven in tequila. I was like, oh, look, they're doing it, they're doing it. And then we went to Cascajuin, and they were doing it all by hand, packing these huge rooms, these huge ovens, baking ovens, all the way to the door where they're hammering the doors shut, and then they're in there for 3 or 4 days baking. Yeah, the whole process is cool. I like it.
so, so it's like, I mean, you just start like a fire. Like, I mean, it sounds like a big barbecue to me, and it sounds
Well, It's,
similar
it's kind of
to
like it's
like the
almost like a pit, like
brisket.
roasting a pig. It's it's
Yeah,
it's a lot like that, to be honest. And the reasons there aren't smoky flavors in tequila is most of those are either steamed or baked or autoclaved, or you know what I mean. They don't use wood when they're cooking it. And then that's what I like about mezcals is they're actually using wood, and all things that were cooked had wood flavor at one point, even malted barley.
yeah. Like maybe I don't know, maybe it'd be too smoky, but like a rock beer with agave. Like, I don't know. I'm
Almost
just
like a smoked brown ale with agave.
yeah. Oh, that sounds delicious.
Yeah. Oh, I have one. I did one at Pizza Port with nacho.
Oh yeah, I had that. See, there's so many beers I can't even remember. Oh my God.
Uh,
What did you use
I
for
still have
the
some. I still have some if you want to come by and have a glass. It's really good.
hell yeah. Hell yeah, I will. Like,
I've been
yeah.
doing
Oh
that
my
the past year actually. I brewed with Nacho before we did. I love his brown ale to begin with. So, and he had never done a smoked beer. So 2 years ago we did a smoked brown ale, and then a few months ago we did the agave smoked brown ale, which I thought came out really good. And I've been brewing with OB Brewery. We did an agave milk stout. I brewed with Homebrew Mart. We did a 9% agave apricot beer. That's pretty amazing.
yeah.
And then the smoked brown ale. And then the first run of our agave cream ale at Fall Brewing was a collab. We called it Cinco Flacos, five skinnies. So it's been
Yeah.
fun to kind of get the agave name out there, kind of play with a new sugar. Um, yeah, I'm excited to brew the beer today so we can start selling it.
And are you guys gonna distill? Are you importing different mezcals or what's up with that?
No, we're trying to keep the infrastructure to a minimum. So yeah, we're contracting in San Diego for our beers and contracting down in Oaxaca. No plan to do any kind of brick and mortar still or brewery at this point. Um, We are also importing other people's brands. We've kind of started that a little bit. Mezcal Mitre is the first kind of brand from Mexico that we've brought into the United States for the first time. Just a really good introductory mezcal that isn't heavily smoky. It's almost kind of a light smoky tequila is what I kind of get from a lot of the different labels that they do. Just fun, good, easy way to get in, good cocktail mezcals. And then guy in New Jersey is doing a tequila seltzer called Sunny Seltzer. We brought in a little bit of that to sell as well, just to kind of test the market and see how things are going. And we're just brand new as a startup company, so we're just practicing the struggles that everybody has starting up a company, I think. Um, everything takes a little bit longer, but we're slowly moving, and hopefully we'll have some of our product that we've actually created pouring in February, January, February.
Yeah, it does. It just seems to me like a natural, like a natural evolution to the brewing thing. I don't know, and food. Like it's both.
Yeah, it's Yusuf used to always say it's the next step in the alchemy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. I think I already asked you, but did you used to distill with Yusef or not?
No, that was up at the production brewery. I ran Homebrew Mart for like 11 years, so really didn't get up there to do too much working in the still and stuff, but I was around it a lot, you know what I mean? So I definitely infused some of it, and a couple times now that I've distilled outside of Ballast Point, it's kind of cool. It's kind of like watching somebody homebrew for a long time, and then you do your own homebrew, you're like, oh, I kind of know what I'm doing for some reason, just infused into you.
Yeah, yeah. We tried to do well, we did. We distilled like these pears that I have out in Julian, and I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing though. I was afraid to drink it actually. So uh, I was like,
Well,
yeah.
yeah. Then
Oh,
then
and
you need to hang around different people then.
yeah, I know. I didn't hang around Yusef when he was distilling it. Like he would always have me taste those things, and whatever. They're uncut or whatever. It's like it's dangerous. It's like fire water. Like I mean, I didn't get like I got more burn than I got from anything else, and he'd be describing all these flavors, and I would just be like, all I feel is the burn, like from the alcohol. I'm like this. I think I'm a beer guy, and he just looked at me like I was crazy, and.
Yeah, I mean, I in the beginning I wouldn't drink a lot of spirits because it got me drunk. Like, I was used to drinking pints, not little fancy glasses.
Yeah,
And
that's
like, you know, go ahead.
Oh, that's exactly the same as me. I was like, this isn't like I think I enjoy beer and I enjoy beer with food, but uh, I didn't really, it's like it didn't seem like the hard alcohol really paired with it just seemed like I got drunk like, and I was like, I like the beer part of it. It seems like more of an experience to me.
What I really liked about the spirits that we were making a Ballast is that they were clean. They were super good. They were flavorful. A lot of them weren't hot. And I feel like it kind of made me realize that I just wasn't drinking the right spirits. Kind of like somebody that, grew up on macro beer and then had a craft beer. It's kind of like, oh, this is beer. I feel like it's kind of in that same realm. I've learned to appreciate spirits a lot more, which then actually slows me down as far as drinking goes. And you can start to kind of nuance it a little bit with flavors and even pairings. Like, I mean, I had a piece of dark chocolate and a racia. Racia is kind of another subsection of agave, kind of like tequila, mezcal, racia, barbacoa. These are all different types of spirits made from agave. And this racia had this really like cocoa nib kind of flavor to it. And I had it with the chocolate, and I was just like, whoa. Yeah, literally the bell went off. Ding.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so yeah, if you can get past kind of the heat and it's really made well, then all those other flavors start jumping out.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't I don't know that I've made it to that point. I think I was I got shocked by the initial rocket fuel part that I haven't been able to enjoy. Maybe you could show me how to do that. Maybe you could show me a pairing. I would love to. I would love to have you do that, do a pairing like that, and experience that.
I just got invited to go down to TJ, Tijuana, brewer down there, Omar, uh, Doble C. He's a Doble C.
Yeah,
He's got a still down there that he's never used. I'm like, well, let's do something. So maybe you should come down with us.
yeah, that'd be
Lay
fun. When are
down
you
there.
going down
Really good.
there?
I don't know. Now that you're coming sooner than later.
Yeah, I've been down to WC. That those guys are awesome. Like I don't know, they're in that. Well, they're in Ensenada. Do they still have the brewery in Ensenada?
I think they're moving it to TJ.
Oh, okay.
So when I went to Guadalajara, we did a agave double IPA, kind of inspired by Sculpin and Dorado. And Doble C was there, Omar, and then Jerry from Farland Brewing Company was also there as well. So, and Fortuna is the only cerveceria in the Tequila Valley. And Joaquin Lopezo Orendine is one of, like we were talking before, one of the generational families there in the valley. So, yeah, it was cool hanging out with all those guys. And we're probably going to do another collaboration here and then maybe do that distilling too. So I'll keep you in the loop.
Okay, awesome. I just invited myself. It feels good.
That's how collabs work, dude. You know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The Mexico is like when we've gone down and whenever we've brewed down there or like it is just the food mecca and I mean mostly for me it was the beer, a lot of really good beer, but man the food down there that we've had in Mexico is like it blows me away. Like it's there's well, like in where's they have like a Michelin star taco card, or maybe it's recognized or whatever it is, but that I couldn't like we were trying to find it forever. Where's it at? I can't even remember. So it must have been a good trip. Uh, but we
There's
were
one lady in Ensenada that's awesome that always gets rated super high. I usually try to get to her.
maybe that was
Yeah,
it because
I
we were
gotta.
looking. We
Can
were
I
sitting
ask
there
you?
looking. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, we were just looking for it forever, and we were like, because we had it, we had our phones out, and there was like we had the little dot on the phone, and we were like looking for it forever, going down like alleys and stuff, and I'm like, the dot says it's right here, and there was like one street cone sitting there, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. It should be here, and all of a sudden this like cart pulled up, and they started serving, like all these crazy tacos and stuff, and it was pretty amazing though. It was a good time.
I got a pizza port story I want to tell.
Uh-oh. Is there a way to stop it on, can
Uh,
I hit a button and pause? No, go ahead.
okay, well, I won't tell that story then. I got another one. uh, so I started in 97 in July, 25 years at Ballast Point, and I went to the Strong Ale Festival. That was the first year of the Strong Ale Festival up in Pizza Port. It was still inside. You guys hadn't taken over the next door area yet.
Yeah.
And super fun. Obviously got drunk, but I walked out of there and all I wanted was something hoppy because everything was just so cloyingly sweet, because people didn't know how to attenuate high gravity beers back then. So just the amount of residual sugar in all the beers was always crazy. And it was barley wines and doppelbocks and old ales and you know what I mean? Nothing just like drinkable necessarily. And the next year I'm like, I'm gonna do something hoppy that, tastes more like a beer. So the next year I took first runnings off of our Yellowtail, the Kolsch beer that we would do, and then I added a bunch of Belgian candied sugar. And I had been drinking Brutal Bitter by Rogue, which was 100% crystal hops. And I was like, I'm going to do 100% crystal hop, 8%, so that we could get into the Strong Ale Festival uh, IPA. I guess it's an IPA. I don't even know what to call it. So I did that. I made 10 gallons and we sold it in 98 to the Strong Ale Festival, and the 10 gallons were gone in the first like 4 hours of the festival. And I was like, oh. So the next year I did 20 gallons of the same beer, and it was gone in the first night again. And I was like, hmm. And we actually called it a strong hoppy ale because there was no double IPA moniker yet. And then after that, Jim O'Brien, who owned O'Brien's Pub here in San Diego at the time, came up to me. He's like, "Hey, I want a keg of that Crystal Pier double I or strong hoppy ale." I'm like, "Dude, we don't make that." I kind of explained how I made it. And he's like, "I don't care. I want a keg." So I went to Jack and he said, "I'm like, can we do it? Can I do some?" I homebrewed it basically, blended two 10-gallon batches together into a 15-gallon keg, and then sold it to O'Brien's. And that was the first beer that I had ever made and actually sold, to an account in
Oh, that's awesome.
98,
That's
99. So that was kind of the birth of Dorado double IPA.
wow. Wow, that's awesome. I didn't,
Yeah.
there's so many stories I don't even know. Tell me more. Tell me more.
Um, Another question I have for you, which is kind of a story. Every time I talk to any brewer in San Diego about buying beer, everybody always says they only buy Pizza Port. And that's because you guys always have the freshest beer on the shelves. And it's incredible and it's undeniable. Like I'll go through nerdy me and look at all the dates and stuff. And you guys are always months fresher than anybody else, especially in the chain stores, which is so hard to do, man. How do you do that? How was that a conscious decision? You must just spend so much time making sure that that's happening. And I know everybody appreciates it. I don't know if anybody's ever told you recently about how good your product is, just off the shelf. It's such a hard thing to do.
Yeah, and I mean, I would love to say yes. It's all careful planning, and it's all my idea. But I have no idea either. Sometimes I look at it and I do the same thing. Like it used to drive me crazy when, well, I have a story like Yusef used to always look for that too. And like he was up in San Francisco and there was a time, it seems like it's kind of less and less now, but all the liquor stores and stuff were carrying like they just wanted to have as many different craft beers as possible. And that led to a lot of them just sitting on the shelf forever. And Yusuf would always send me a picture of like, I don't know, like some of the port brewing, like it was an IPA that was sitting out warm that was 5 years old. And I was like, what? I was like, just knock it off the shelf, Yusuf, knock it off the shelf. And he'd be like, no, you have to come find it. And so maybe somehow that motivated, but it really didn't. I really don't know why that is. I don't know. I don't know why that is. I think maybe I don't know. I guess it's kind of a balance between making the right amount of beer to and uh, getting it out on the. My guess
Well, I
is as
think,
good as yours.
well, you need to give that team a raise.
Yeah, it's Jill.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah,
She
she's
obviously has
actually
some
five
amazing
people.
people working for her too.
Yeah, yeah, it's
What
there.
what does Jill get to go to? Is it the Chop House that you go to every year when you guys win thousands of awards?
Thousands. Yeah. Uh,
What's the
yeah,
steakhouse?
yeah.
Chop
The
House?
Chop House. Yeah, that's where we end up.
Have you kept that restaurant afloat with all the money that you spend there? Because
No,
you
I
always
don't.
celebrate your
No,
awards
but
there.
it's such a great place. I don't even know why. It's like they give it. Well, it went from the back room. The GABF stuff has gone to smaller. Like it keeps getting smaller. It used to be like 35 people would go out or 40 people, and it keeps getting smaller and smaller for some reason. But we used to get that whole back room at Chop House, and it was so much fun back there. Because that's what I mean. My parents lived there too, so that was like the family reunion, and they would come, and they're just looking at everything, going, what the heck did my kids do?"
It's awesome.
So, um,
Last question for
man,
me. What's your favorite food pairing?
my favorite, man, There's so many. I don't know. I had one though. It was at that Torrey Pines event that Chuck Silva did, and it was saison with a curry. It was magic. Like I was tasting all the pairings and they were all good. And then like it's that like you're talking about that Bing moment, where it's just like where you don't even really think it just like hits you in the head, and you're just like this is amazing. Like that was one of mine. What's yours?
Um, the one I like always comes back to me is it was Albert's at the zoo, and it was Calico Amber Ale, red ale with butternut squash soup and some like candied popcorn as a garnish. And it just was so seamless together. It's when the soup's okay and the beer's okay, but together they both elevate each other. That's always my goal. And Sculpin, when we were doing habanero Sculpin, I used to love to do that with people and just get them a shrimp quesadilla with some sour cream, and then the Sculpin would actually be the salsa.
Oh, nice.
So it's
Yeah, that
like
sounds great.
beer becomes the condiment. Those are always fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're running out of time, but what do you have with San Diego Brewing? Are you part of San Diego Brewing, or like with Tyson and all that? That's
No,
pretty.
they invited me to be an investor, and I happily took the invitation. So
Yeah.
the first year, I kind of was helping consulting just a little bit on when they had questions about the brewery and just what needed to be changed. But they have two brewers now, Chris and Matt, and those guys are just doing an incredible job. They got all new conical tanks in. They're expanding. They're getting their distro out a little bit more, and the place is packed. I was just there on my birthday on Saturday, so
Oh, nice.
pretty proud of that whole team there for sure. That's a iconic brewery that I was going to when I first moved here in '94, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
Yeah, yeah. It's an awesome. I used to go there. Well, like Callahan's, from that's where
Mhm.
with Scott and Lee, and when they finally were announcing that we're looking for a buyer for San Diego Brewing, Gina was talking to me about it, and I was like, I don't know, but it's perfect that Tyson and his wife got it. They met there, I think.
Yeah, they both work there. And I
Yeah,
actually did the second beer dinner ever there with Tyson.
I don't know. Whenever if I see Tyson at a beer dinner, I know it's going to be interesting and good, and he does an amazing job.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Agreed.
well,
This has been great.
yeah, I guess we're about done. I wanted to thank you for saying yes, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you. It's always whenever you would ever show up at any of the breweries, like it was always like such a great break in the day because you would always bring beer and a smile, and it was always something. It's just always a pleasure to see you, Colby. So
Oh, likewise, man. I enjoy that we've had such a long history together.
yeah, yeah. Uh, well,
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's it. Colby will be back on the next episode of the show as the host, having a conversation with a brewer of his choosing. This will be on air in 2 weeks, so make sure and tune in for that. Uh, Visit allaboutbeer.com and follow on social media at allaboutbeer. To support journalism in the beer space, check out allaboutbeer.com/support. I'm Vince Marsaglia of Pete Support, Julian Beer Company, Lost Abbey. Thank you for listening to the Brewer to Brewer podcast.
Next time you're going through your books, check and see how much you're paying for brewery software. Odds are you're paying way too much. Ollie is the fastest growing brewery software that is saving brewers time and money while delivering the tools they need to grow their business. Learn more at getollie.com/pod. That's getollie.com/pod.
I'm Bradley Zimmerman from Badger Hill Brewing in Shakopee, Minnesota. Malta Mexico 2 Row is the first of its kind, so I was excited to try it out and see how it performed in the brew house. We had just brewed Mucho Gusto, our Mexican lager, so we used Malta, Mexico in our American light lager called Longhorn. Performed well in the brew house. There's a little bit of toasted, flaked rice, and then some rice syrup solids in the kettle, and a touch of dextrin in the beer as well, and that's it. So it's basically showcasing Malta Mexico two-row. We normally use a Pilsner malt in that beer, so we got similar notes to a Pilsner malt, but we got a little bit more cracker out of it. A little bit of not toast and not bread dough, kind of somewhere in between. It had a pleasant sweetness to it, but it wasn't cloying or anything like that. Performed well in the brew house. We hit all our numbers as far as efficiency goes, so we were happy with the results there. If you're doing Mexican style lagers, Malta definitely helps tell the story, especially since it's grown and malted in Mexico. No one's ever done that to this date, so it's fun to get people excited about that process and where things are going. We definitely like to tell that story. Contact Malt Europe today and visit maltingco.com.